Start with holy name of Allah, who is great, kind, and the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum to all of you. Today, with another lecture, Mr. Ali Chandu is interacting with you on the topic of news, and this topic, which is designed for subject introduction to mass communication for the BS 2K19 English and BS 2K 20 Media Studies. The outline of this subject is based on consists of is the definition of news, type of news, qualities and characteristics of news, and finally news writing style. The first, before discussing the other aspect of news, we must be well aware about the basic concept and simple definition of news. That what is the news? There are two different approaches to define the news. One is based on the which was written by mass media experts, and another definition which was written by the English linguistics, those who are expert in both fields. As I have already mentioned that this topic related to the two major departments, so I will also explain the English language concept of news and media and communication studies experts' opinion regarding the news. First, what media studies or expert of communication says about news? That their approach is that in news is what came from north, east, west, and south. This is the abbreviation of our surroundings. This is the abbreviation of our directions. We are surrounded by four directions: north, east, west, and south. So what came from all these surroundings, that is which information, which currently information, that is called a news. This was definition which was given by the communication expert. So another definition which is related to English language, that the Englishman and English writers, English expert believe that the news word was taken from the word new, which means fresh, and it is also a plural of this word which explains itself. So now it's clear that the news is fresh, and in both contexts, news is the fresh and recent information and current happening. Okay, so now move towards the other topic, that how many major types of news. The news divided in two major types. Others are subtype of these. Number one is a hard news, and number second is soft news. Which type of news we can call this is the hard news, and which type of news we can call this is the soft news? It was based on the importance and value and significance of news story. That which type of news story we are most of time cover being a newspaper editor. If that particular news we put or publish on front page, it can be any type of news, because of the news worth and values change day by day due to the situation. Sometimes the minor issue, the minor event can be become a big issue, and one day that particular which was published in a third or fourth page, now it is came on the front page. So which news has importance as the need of time, that is called a hard news. And most of time in Pakistan, this practice was seen by me as well, that the political news and current our foreign policies news and our like as a corona news in this current scenario, and what we call the governmental affairs news are called as a hard news. Now come to the another type of news, which is soft news, the less important news, and which was covered on an sports, showbiz, or any other entertainment activities. This type of news, which were covered by newspapers, are published in the another page of newspapers, and at the time of on air, these news are shown at the end. So both types have different kinds of news, and sometimes sports and showbiz news become the hard news as well. So after the completion of type of news, we must be well aware about through this lecture that what are the characteristics or qualities of news. The characteristics and qualities of news based on the first character of is timeline. That news must be covered in current time, because tomorrow's news, if we are going to publish in second day, maybe in during past this news called as a news because of lack of our communication sources, and we were not digitalized yet. So but in current scenario, the timeline is a necessary for news, because current time, because we are living in the age of information where Twitter, social media, Facebook, WhatsApp, and different websites of newspapers and different YouTube channels and satellite channels inform us within a seconds. So if they are inform us in current time, then why we wait for another day and to read that particular newspaper? So that's why this was amendment in qualities of newspaper news or characteristic of news, the timeline, because timeline is very much important, and it is a first quality of news. Another, which is news must be factual, based on the fact and figures. If sometimes if we call any fiction or any imagination, or what I saw a dream, we cannot consider that this is a news, but we can consider that what is the reality. Real event can be happen, which can be reported, but a drama, imagination, fiction, story which is created by mind, we can't consider them as a news. News must be based on the fact and figures and reality, because the real issue can be covered, can be on air, can be published. These issues can be considered as a news, but not others. Now come to the third point. The third quality of news is objectivity or fair play. Objectivity and fair play both are the similar to each other. That at the time of news coverage or news report, you must be objective instead of subjective, because sometimes you have need to be support your ideology, support your political party, but being a reporter, you never become support what you receive, what the both parties give you the statement, what both parties give you the information, you must be put both in same news. The opinion of both parties must be given in your news, that is objectivity, because being a fair journalist, being a neutral journalist, it is your role to share or disseminate the news with audiences or with readers or with viewers as a objective news, not to the subject news. And subject news is that if I have a personal objection, if I have personal jealousy, personal problem, personal conflict with someone, then I report against that particular and write what was in my mind. So at the time of news writing, you must be take care about all these things. So now, completeness. Your news should be complete according to the formula of news, 5 W's and 1 H. That completeness of news, basically the 5 W's and 1 H, which is the very much common formula for news writing or news coveraging. That 5 W's: what, when, where, which, and how. These 5 W's and 1 H should be covered. That completely information you had shared with. क्योंकि कोई भी no any question can be left that what happened, where it happened, when it happened, which was involved, and why it happened, and now how it happened. So all these questions should be answered in your news. But if you are going to be answer the question, these questions will not be too much deep, because the final and very much important characteristics or quality is concise and clear. If you will dramatize the news, that news your news have so much lengthy process or too much in written form, the newspaper editor will cut off it. If you have published that, if you have that covered the news story for electronic media, if it will be more than 5 or 10 minutes, they will not give you this space. So your news should be on the 15 minutes to 30 minutes. That your information should be complete but concise and clear, because there are so many other important issues which should be covered, or which can be covered and published in newspaper or in any satellite media. Now, the final one, which is the news writing style. As we know, the common news writing style is the inverted pyramid writing style. But inverted pyramid writing style take some different initiative at the time of writing for newspaper, writing for news channel, and writing for social media or social sites. These are some similar, some different. But the inverted pyramid writing style, which show us that why news is reported. Why news is reported? Because people want to know that happening. What is happening. Journalists gather information and summarize, collect it fairly and accurately, and present it in a simple format to the audiences. And number second, if inverted pyramid writing style, we can say the inverted triangle, which the most newsworthy information should be put on first, and less important can be after that, and more general information and more than less important can be put at the end. Because if someone want to be read your news headline, and after some lines he can get a clear idea that what about this issue was covered. So inverted pyramid writing style, which is a very common style to used in the field of mass communication, and this style show two things: number one, headline, and number second is a lead of newspaper, and these information and these style which are the common in the field of mass communication. And if if we can understand that why all these are necessary, and how we can do all these things in a practical life. So in the field of mass communication, there is a need of do practice or all these. In this way, we have the subject. This is an intro, and we have the subject as a practical subject in the field of mass communication. So I am going to finish it along with these words that after watching my channel, must subscribe it and click the button. Thank you very much for watching, and see you another lecture inshallah.